All right, so as you know, last week, President Zelenskyy came to the White House to sign a deal, which he wasn't going to in the first place, with the United States on resources so the United States would protect Ukraine. We should be doing it anyway, but this was the way to get it done. It seemed to be the best way. Zelenskyy looked like he thought to get it done. Didn't turn out so great. As we all found out, it's been covered widely by the news. But here I'd like to take a larger breakdown of the interview. There was quite a few things, obviously, out of the 50-minute meeting between Trump and Zelenskyy that were not left in. The mainstream media, of course, covered it as they normally would. Even some independent media outlets didn't quite get the full gist, I think. So that's what we're going to do today. Check it out. MAGA, for sure watch this. This is not going to be a make fun of Trump hour session. This is going to be the facts about what happened during the interview, during the meeting, so we can have a proper understanding of the situation. It wasn't just about an argument, and it wasn't just Zelenskyy being unreceptive. He was being very receptive and very thankful. It wasn't just JD Vance making a comment, which started the whole thing at the end. There was quite a bit, so let's get into that right now. So the first clip to start it out will be before questions are asked. They had their opening little statements, and Zelenskyy is laying out his wishes, his hopes for what America will do, for what Trump will do for Ukraine. Nothing declared, nothing demanded, just his hopes and wishes. Let's watch.
During our conversation, and of course the infrastructure or security guarantees, because for today I understand what Europe is ready to do, and of course I want to discuss with you what United States will be ready to do, and I really count on your strong position to stop Putin.
He counts on it. He's hoping.
And you said that enough with the war. I think that is very important, Ben, to say these words to Putin at the very beginning of war, because he is a killer and terrorist. But I hope that together we can stop him. But for us, it's very important to...
So right there, we're declaring, yes, Putin is a killer and a terrorist. Not only of Ukrainian people, but of his own people, of other countries' people. So that is why it's so crazy to not want to stop Trump from possibly making a deal with Putin that would give Putin any land or anything that he has taken. Making a deal with Putin to get out of there, great. Trump can do that. Trump can make a deal with Putin to leave Ukraine totally, but that is the goal. We're not trying to give Ukraine a blank check just to go fight a war forever. We want Putin out of there, but Ukraine does not want to end the war in the way that means Putin gets all of the land that he already has, because there's no guarantee that he won't further go into other land, even if America is there, because he can go into other places. And I know that's what Trump throughout this whole thing will make it seem like, and that's what has been reported. Well, if America is there with resources and we're mining stuff and we're building buildings and infrastructure to move resources from Ukraine over to our country, then that means Putin just won't be able to do anything there. He'll just automatically be assumed that he won't attack, he won't invade, he won't do anything bad anymore. That's just going to end Russia's invasion of countries. That's what's supposed to be assumed, and that's what Zelenskyy tries to word in the best he can, that he is afraid of that not being enough. Another example of Zelenskyy pleading with the United States, being grateful and thank you and asking for help.
About this, I want to speak about the contingents. I think that France and UK already spoke to you, and we know that Europe is ready, but without the United States, they will not be ready to be as strong as we need.
Right.
And the last point, last not least, about exchange, about our people and children. And you know
this
that
is important.
These crazy Russians, that they stolen 20,000 of children, Ukrainian children. They changed their name.
These are some of the points where people are coming up with, oh, Zelenskyy was being too aggressive. Zelenskyy was saying bad things about Putin and Russians, and he was not being open to ideas of a deal. Well, here's why. If you need to know why, if you haven't watched regular news from anybody covering the Ukraine, the war in Ukraine, I guess maybe you might not know how bad it is really there. How good it looks normally compared to what it is now, how good it used to be for people there, and what it's like now. So listen.
They changed their families, relatives, and now they're in Russia. We want to bring them back. And really, it's a big dream, task, and goal for me and our warriors. By the way, Mr. President, we released more than 4,000 warriors from Russian prison, but there are thousands more in the prison. I wanted to share with you some.
Right, and he goes on to share some pictures. I won't show them on here, but he shows a lot of pictures of other soldiers from Ukraine that have been taken by Russia that look horrible. They are devastated. They have been starved. They are sick. To say that this is a two-sided war, that this is just two sides fighting and they need to come to some agreement is not the case. It is a one-sided war that we should be helping Ukraine fight and win and get Putin out of their country. And if Trump wants to make a deal with Putin, the only deal needs to be get out of Ukraine, get out of Crimea, get out of all the eastern oblasts, take all your soldiers that are dying there every day and just leave.
Why don't you make like a tree and get the fuck out of here?
And here you can't really see the pictures, but he goes into speaking on pastors being taken and held captive. What is a pastor being taken in a war? They're not following rules. Even in a war that is as horrible as it is, you still have rules to follow. And they're not even following that. So, point again, especially Trump voters, this is for you. If you're watching this, I hope you are. Get your boy. I said it last week. I'm saying it again. Get your boy. He's siding with the wrong side, and we're afraid that it's not going to work out for good people in Ukraine. Because it would be the same for you. If your country, your area was being invaded, you would hope another country would come and stop a larger country from taking your stuff and killing your people, kidnapping your kids, taking them off to another country. You would hope that would be the thing you get, is help from a bigger country. That's all Ukraine needs.
Yeah, that's tough stuff.
Yeah, I wanted very much to give you, and you see.
Yeah.
This is pastor, by the way. They stolen pastors. Because
stolen pastors.
Church. They stolen pastors and moved pastors to the prison. At the end of last year, we brought 3 pastors, and we could exchange them.
And for you, JD Vance, you fucking jerk. Look, he said thank you during this meeting. You were just so caught up in your own bullshit and your own nonsense and your toe-sucking, Trump-loving views, dude, that you cannot even understand what's being said in front of you during the whole meeting. He has been thankful the whole time, and he said thank you during this meeting right here.
So, I mean, this I wanted to show you, and this. So, thank you very much.
We want to get that ended, right?
Yeah, of course. We
And
want.
I think we will. And
We have to, of course.
When President Trump is questioned on security guarantees for Ukraine, his answer is not so good, which is the reason Zelenskyy is very apprehensive during most of the meeting when it comes to talking about after the deal. He's not concerned with making the deal because his country is the one under attack. He'll probably be willing to give just about fucking anything right now if Trump would say, I'll kick Putin out and never let him in the borders of Ukraine. But Trump's answer on security is what makes everybody afraid. Watch.
I've spoken with President Putin, and I feel very strong. I've known him for a long time, and I feel very strongly that they're very serious about it, and we'll make a deal. And when the deal is made, I don't think we talk about security. Everyone's talking about the other day. All they talked about was security. I said,
It's important.
let me make the deal first. I have to make the deal first. I don't worry about security right now. We have to have a deal, because right now, last week, 2,000 soldiers died on both sides. 2,000. And they're losing 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 a week. So as we sit here and we talk, people are getting shot and dying on the battlefield.
Okay, so let's rewind that a minute. If people are dying, it would just take Putin removing his soldiers from Ukraine.
I feel very strong. I've known him for a long time, and I feel
Let's watch
very
that one more
strongly
time and really hear it.
They're very serious about it, and we'll make a deal. And when the deal is made, I don't think we talk about security. Everyone's talking about the other day. All they talked about was security. I said, let me make the deal first. I have to make the deal first.
That point right there was the most important part. That is why Zelenskyy is so afraid of Trump making this deal. The deal is to guarantee security. That's the point of the fucking deal, guy. That's the point. So if you're not going to guarantee security, then what are you making a deal for, right? Like, that'd be like walking up to a car dealership and wanting to buy a car, and you're working on the deal, but during that deal, the car salesman says, well, I'm not really thinking I'm going to sell you a car. We'll talk about buying a car later. Right now, I just want the money. But you're like, I came to buy a fucking car. And he's like, right, you are here to buy a car. But first, let's talk about the money. There might not even be a car. The car's not important. And the guy's like, well, fucking yeah, the car is important. That's why I'm here. Just money first. That's what this is. That's why Zelenskyy is afraid of the situation Trump is presenting. He needs to know that his country is going to be safe. If the deal is, the deal could be Putin gets to keep everything in the east of Ukraine, which includes most of the major resources that Trump wants. The deal could be that Putin gets to keep that and sell that to Trump instead. And Putin gets all the money and deals with that. That could be the deal. And just, I could not imagine that not being what Zelenskyy sees. He is afraid of that being the reality. So if Trump could just say that out loud, Trump, I'm calling you out. MAGA, go call on Trump. Get on your TikTok and get on your fucking True Social and start calling out Trump and say, hey, just guarantee that you're going to kick Putin out. We can get all the resources and help out. Sure, great. Give us the money, give us the resources. Sweet, I guess, if you want to be greedy about it. But still, Putin needs to fucking go. That's what Zelenskyy needs, is a guarantee of that, if he's going to give up his resources. Otherwise, you're just buying an invisible fucking car. And here's a quick example of Zelenskyy and Trump agreeing, getting along, and even a nice little affectionate touch on the shoulder from Trump to Zelenskyy. And then Zelenskyy goes into speaking on the resources we would be getting openly, not angrily, not hesitantly, just agreeing upon sharing resources for the help that we have given Ukraine.
I'm sorry.
And he constantly has, that's another topic we'll go into as we're talking, you'll see, he constantly has to get his voice out there, even though they're both being interviewed. It's a joint interview. It's not a Trump's the bigger president, Zelensky's the smaller president, so everybody just asks Trump stuff. It's a joint interview for both of them. And Zelenskyy constantly has to fight his way into answering any of the questions.
Go ahead, please.
If I can just, yes. In the document, there is one of the very important points. If we speak about business and investment, we never had LNG terminals.
The document, when he says document, he means the agreement for the resources, for the rare earth minerals. I almost said raw earth like Trump did. The rare earth minerals. We'll post that clip of Trump saying raw earth a bunch of times. That'll be a side clip. It's fun.
In Ukraine, this document will open. I mean, the next documents, but anyway, here we see in the framework, we see a really good will for this. LNG terminals for us is very important, and I think for security.
LNG stands for liquid natural gas. So this is discussing us getting a lot of liquid natural gas as long as we build the infrastructure on those locations, which a lot of them are in the eastern area of Ukraine, which is under Russian control.
Of European continent. We have the biggest storage, gas storage. We have the biggest in Europe, yes, and we can use it. Use it for LNG, use it for LNG, and we will do it. And really, we can help Europe, because Europe really helped. President Trump said that they made less support, but they have our friends.
And the next thing we'll get into is the support from Europe. During the same meeting, Donald Trump and Zelenskyy, at about the 11-12 minute mark, this is where they start to have a little difference. This is where the differences begin. Zelenskyy and Trump are discussing how much Europe, how much EU has given to Ukraine. Now, they have given a lot, and we have given a lot. I will show you right here. Oops, maybe not. The European Union assistance to Ukraine has been as such. The European Union and our 27 member states remain united and determined in our unprecedented support for Ukraine. Since the start of the war, the EU and our member states have made available close to $145 billion in financial, military, humanitarian, and refugee assistance, of which 65% has been provided as grants or in-kind support, and only 35% are highly concessional loans. In addition, in February 2024, European leaders agreed to commit up to $54 billion until 2027 for the Ukraine facility to support Ukraine's recovery, reconstruction, and modernization, as well as its efforts to carry out reforms as part of its accession path to the EU. Furthermore, in October 2024, the EU and G7 partners agreed to collectively provide loans of $50 billion to support Ukraine's budgetary, military, and reconstruction needs, financed by extraordinary revenues from immobilized Russian sovereign assets. The EU will contribute $20 billion. The first $3.2 billion was dispersed in January 2025. This will bring our commitments to date up close to $198 billion.
But they are our friends, and they are our very supportive partners. They really gave a lot.
So now, here's where it starts. He's trying to tell Trump that they gave a lot, and Trump straight out denies it and shuts him right the fuck up.
What, Mr. President?
They did.
Really, they did.
They gave a lot, but they gave much less.
No.
Much less.
No. No.
No. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So he just strongmans him down. And I know, MAGA, you guys like the strongman, the tough guy thing. That's great. But right now, strongmanning a guy who's trying to protect his country, guys, come on. You cannot be all about that. Just tells him not to argue. Trump argues, tells Zelenskyy not to argue, and just gives him a little pat down. Sit down, boy. You're talking too much. I'm just trying to point out the differences in what the media wants to say about how Zelenskyy was in there being aggressive, being rude, being unthankful, being terrible, disgusting, all of the horrible things they've said about Zelenskyy in the media. You're watching it. A quick moment, you can see an expression on President Zelensky's face as Trump is answering the recent question. Watch real quick. He'll answer the question and you watch Zelensky's face.
Because we have tremendous death taking place as we speak, and I don't want to have that. You know, think of the parents, whether they're in Russia or Ukraine, think of the parents of all these people being killed needlessly.
They came to our territory.
Should have never started. This would have, if I were president, this would have never started.
Okay. So you saw the look on his face. Yes, I get eye rolling, shaking of the head, pursed lips, sucking up cheek. Understandable, but those are not signs of aggression or disdain for Trump. Those are signs of someone who is worried that Donald Trump doesn't understand the severity of what is happening in Ukraine every day. The way Trump does talk is definitely putting Zelenskyy and Trump on the same field, which is not fair. That is not how it's going over there in Ukraine. So those looks are not of disdain. Those looks are not of an attitude. Those looks are not... I know that's what J.D. Vance has seen the whole time. And he's watching from where he's sitting. J.D. Vance is off here to the side, staring directly at Zelenskyy, making these facial expressions. They are of an understanding that he knows Trump misunderstands the situation. Or at least portends to misunderstand the situation in order to continue appeasing Putin so he can make deals on both sides. This next question is on whether the U.S. will continue to supply aid to Ukraine and whether or not Zelenskyy thinks that the United States is on Ukraine's side. The answers are very interesting. Trump's answer and Zelensky's answer. Trump's much shorter. Interesting. I think it's a very important question. It's probably the main question. I know that's essentially why Zelensky is there, because we're offering aid, but that's not really what's happening at the moment. It's a deal to offer aid when we are already offering aid. Listen to the question, and we'll go over that after.
Never started.
Mr. President, where has Mr. President, will you continue sending military aid to Ukraine after the U.S. signs this agreement with Ukraine?
Yeah, we're
And the
going to be
question
continuing.
to President Zelensky, do you feel like the U.S. is on your side, that that President Trump is on your side at this moment?
What do you think?
He wants to know, do you think that, sort of a stupid question.
Yeah.
I guess we
It's not a stupid question. It's the question. It's why we're here. We're reiterating why we're here, and the press really needs to know from the President of the United States, do you capitulate with a terrorist and a murderer and a war criminal, or the person who was minding his own fucking business, trying to run his own country, and had it attacked?
here if I wasn't.
I think that
Oops.
It wouldn't be here. Do you think that,
Let's hear this.
sort of a stupid question. I guess we wouldn't be here if I wasn't.
I think that the United States on our side from the very beginning of occupation, and I think that President Trump on our side.
Listen to his answer. It's really good.
And of course, I'm sure that the United States President will not stop support. This is crucial for us. It's important for us. Yes. And Putin, the president, speaks about the people and the soldiers which are dying, but they came to our territory, they came to our land. They
Right.
began this war, and they have to stop. And I think this is.
I think there was a slow clap in the background, and I'll help with that. I'll add that. Very, very important. Yes, they came to their land. It has to stop. But the reason it started, if you are not aware, I'm not saying you're dumb or you're stupid or you don't know how to understand anything. There's a lot of people that do not understand exactly what's going on in Ukraine because they just haven't watched. So maybe you are just really unaware of the gravity of the situation in Ukraine. It is not a two-sided war between like some angry guy here and some angry guy here, and they just don't like each other, and now they're throwing bombs at each other. It is a literal invasion of a country. I don't know how many times it has to be said, but we're going to say it on this channel too. It's a literal invasion of a country, of one country minding its own business and another one moving in and taking land, not giving it back, fighting it for it more, and then trying to make a deal with stronger countries in order to keep that land. That's the situation. That's all there is to it. There's nothing more to it. Anything you might have heard of Ukrainians being bad people or being terrorists themselves or attacking Russia before the invasion, doing any kind of horrible thing you might have heard, and all of it's false. It is as if we were sitting here and Mexico just started to park trucks on the border of our country, and then after a few months just slowly moved them into Texas and started taking Houston. We wouldn't just be like, hey, dang, I guess we gotta probably give them some of that land so they'll leave us alone. Not gonna happen. So why the fuck would you think it's gonna happen for Ukraine? Please quit trying to think that and understand you need to talk to your president that you voted for and say, hey, let's be on the right side of history here. So let's continue with the answer.
The question was really the most important question. Can President Trump, I hope yes, with some other allies to stop Putin, withdraw these enemies, our enemy, withdraw these troops from our land? And I think that you asked about the history, I think that if President...
And if anybody's been aggressive this whole time, it's the man saying questions are stupid, harassing reporters, harassing Zelensky already, telling him to not argue, putting his hand on him and pushing him away. That's been the aggressive person. This one here, not seeing the aggression. And at that moment, when Zelensky, we'll rewind, watch Trump's face, when Zelensky mentions that he would like to see Trump have Putin withdraw the forces from Ukraine, you hear a sigh, you hear a nose breathe, and a look down.
I hope yes,
Watch.
with some other allies to stop Putin, withdraw these enemies, our enemy, withdraw these troops from our land.
See?
And I think that you asked about the history, about
That's the passive aggression that really underlied this entire meeting. There was none from Zelenskyy. You can watch it a million times over and over again. You're not going to see any underlying aggression. You're going to see irritation that the person he's hoping to get the most help from might not quite understand what's happening over there. But that's it. Any aggression, I'm sorry, is on the side of Trump. Facts only.
I think that if President, or when he will stop Putin, if President Trump will bring peace to our country, I think he will be on this wall. I think.
We've had very, very good.
And look at that. Literally says that if Trump could stop the war in Ukraine and get Putin to move the troops out of Ukraine and stop all the dying on both sides, save the lives of thousands of more Russians, save the lives of thousands of more Ukrainians. And mind you, Ukrainians that are dying in Ukraine are not just soldiers. It's the children and the women who are dying from starvation, dying from lack of heat because it's cold in the wintertime and they're knocking out the power in Ukraine. On top of being shot, on top of being kidnapped, on top of being taken. Russian soldiers are dying from being Russian soldiers being sent to Ukraine to take it over. Sucks for sure. But if they were to get the fuck out of there and Trump were to facilitate that, Zelenskyy is literally saying, buddy, you're going to be on the wall. You're going to be next to the people you think you're as good as. Our intrepid reporter from One America News asks the biggest question of the entire meeting. Stop the presses, re-roll it, and reprint it. Here's the question of the night. Where's your suit at, Zelenskyy? You're in a time of war, guy. Why aren't you all dappered up? As a soldier myself, I understand why he's not. If you're a soldier and you're watching this, you would understand this. So this is the idea going on in the White House right now. These are the reporters getting the good questions in. First question, licks Trump's toes the whole time. Ask him how great he is or why he's so great. How is this going to make him really great? How his legacy is going to look after all this. And then proceeds to shit on Zelenskyy. Thanks, Brian Glenn.
Mr. President, I've got two questions for you. You think ultimately your legacy...
Oh, real quick. Before we start that question, let's go back. Zelenskyy, again, once I mentioned earlier, having a hard time getting questions out, getting answers out, getting reporters to ask him questions. Once again, he's interrupted when he's trying to get a female reporter to answer a question.
Mr. President, I've got two questions for you. You think ultimately your legacy will be the peace?
Yeah, I mean, rolling eyes, irritated, visibly not impressed, but he's there to be questioned on Ukraine. And people are trying to ask him questions, and the loudest fat mouth in the fucking room gets his stupid question through here. He doesn't know it's going to be stupid, but I don't know, I think he can probably tell.
Peacemaker and not the president that led this country into another war and ended foreign wars. And I've got a question.
I hope it will. I mean, I hope I'm going to be remembered as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing if we could do this. I'm doing this to save lives more than anything else. Second is to save a lot of money, but I consider that to be far less important. So I hope I'm going to, thank you, Brian, for that question. It was a nice question. I hope I'll be known.
My toes feel great. It was a good question.
This would be
They're clean. Thanks, Brian, for sucking my toes clean. You got them all. You got it all off. Good job.
great thing to solve. This is a very dangerous situation. You know, this could lead to a third world war. This was headed in the wrong direction. If this election were lost, if we didn't win this election, and by we won it by a lot, that was a mandate. We won every.
We'll skip this part. Here's the question.
What was your second question?
And my second question for President Zelenskyy.
We've all heard this one already.
Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest, why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office and you refuse to wear a suit, just want to see if you, do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of
You
Americans
have problems?
with you not
Really?
respecting
I
the
don't have
dignity of this
such-
office.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Costume in Ukrainian language is suit, spelled with a K.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one.
Maybe something like this?
something like
Yes,
yours.
sir.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Maybe something better. I
Yeah,
don't
something
know.
nicer. Yeah.
We will see.
I like
Maybe
that.
something
I like her in the
cheaper.
background.
Yeah.
She got it.
Thank you.
She got it. All right, so yeah, just fucking loving Trump up and down, and then crapping on Ukraine President Zelenskyy. I mean, what's that about? Good job, One American News. You got it. You're doing the good work that no one else is doing. You're getting the answers. You're getting the facts. You're finding the stuff, or whatever they say. And a few more examples on top of the many. Of a couple things. One, Zelenskyy trying to let another reporter ask a question, and he gets interrupted. And also, his very visible dislike for the way Trump talks about Putin when he says that it's not important to worry about security, and that he thinks that Putin is just going to give up as soon as they make this deal, and that Putin's going to be done attacking and doing anything horrible. He wants to keep inferring that Putin's not going to attack more, Putin won't try to take more land, and that he'll just back off without any guarantee. And Zelenskyy is not really feeling that. He's not fucking vibing with that shit. And a reporter notices, and she tries to ask Zelenskyy about why he's shaking his head. And Trump just completely fucking steamrolls over it. Check it out.
And speaking to, and they were here, as you know, last week and just the other day. They have committed to a lot of security. I don't think you're going to need much security. I think once this deal gets done, it's over.
Watch.
Russia's not going to want to go back, and nobody's going to want to go back.
President
When
Zelenskyy
this
shaking
deal
his head.
ends, I really believe this deal is going to be over.
Well,
Question? Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you so
Mr.
much.
President, thank you. You had President Macron and Keir Starmer at the White House this past week, both of whom praised your courage. and
He's just
conviction.
like, son of a fucking bitch, man. Once again, someone's trying to ask me a question about what I'm doing here and what I think on the subject, and Trump notices it, Trump sees it, and aggressively takes over the conversation and cancels the question that nice lady was trying to ask. Just saying, I'm not trying to make fun of either side, not trying to say who's wrong on either side, but the perception of Zelenskyy being the one to start all the nonsense that happened at the end of this is just completely wrong. And if you watch and you'd see, you might have a little bit of a different viewpoint on the entire Ukraine war. Seeing this man here trying his best to fight through the bullshit that's being thrown at him and still look humble enough to ask somebody for help. In this clip, Zelenskyy is finally able to get an answer out over the roar of reporters and Trump batting him down any chance he tries to speak. He gets the answer here, and he speaks on, first it's a bit funny, and he goes into why he can't just accept a ceasefire. The first answer is good. He replies to the suit question, the costume question. And the next goes into why he can't accept a ceasefire, and any mention of not accepting a ceasefire from a person whose country is being taken over, and said ceasefire would lead to said taker over not leaving. The ceasefire would just guarantee Putin the land he already has. Zelenskyy can't agree to that without a security guarantee from Trump, hence all the security guarantee questions. Here's the answer.
I can answer. Yes, if I can answer.
Please,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Please.
And I do like your clothing, by the way.
Yeah, really?
Even though I think he's a
Yeah?
great guy, by the way. But I don't know if you two like each other, but you know what? I think he's dressed. I think he's dressed
I like
beautifully.
this guy. I don't.
I think he's dressed beautifully.
So I have more serious things than answer on such
Yeah,
question.
sure, that's
I
a
will
good-
answer on more serious
good
question if
statement.
I can.
That's good.
Yeah. So please.
Seem to be getting along.
About security guarantees. and about just ceasefire. We can't just speak about ceasefire and speak and speak. It will not work. Just ceasefire will not never work, because I'm like a president. I have this experience, and not only me. Ukraine before my presidency, from the 2014, Putin broken 25 times. 25 times he broken his own signature. 25 times he broken ceasefire.
But he never broke to me. He never broke to me.
No, you were the president. You were the president during.
He never broke to me.
In 2016, you've been the president, Mr. President. You've been the president, but he had, of course, not with you, but he had during those periods. He had conversations with our side, and we had Normandy 4.
So that minor little spat, if you don't understand what happened right there, was Zelenskyy trying to say that since 2014, when Russia invaded Crimea, it happened way back in 2014. Since then, there have been ceasefire agreements on and off between Ukraine and Russia under Obama, under Biden, and yes, under Trump, because he was the president from 2016 to 2020, right? Russia was still invading, still occupying Crimea during that time. Trump is just trying to say that he didn't look weak to Putin. He didn't care, is what the real statement is. He didn't care that Putin had invaded Crimea, and probably didn't even know about ceasefire agreements between the two and when they were broke. So yeah, he's saying what he doesn't know. And that's the only thing that he's correct about, what he doesn't understand. And Zelenskyy just wants him to understand that.
Format, the France, Germany, Ukraine, and Russia. And he broken 25 times. That's why we will never accept just ceasefire. It will not work without security guarantees. Security guarantees, maybe President is right about this document and other, but this document is not enough. Strong army is enough, because his soldiers afraid, Putin's soldiers afraid of our soldiers when we're strong enough. If we are not strong enough, if we are empty, if our storage is empty, we can't defend our land. Today, he knows that we have all.
Right. So he just reiterates more and more that we need to be helping out Ukraine. And our army's strong, our military's tough. We all know that. We can give the Ukrainians our stuff, our older shit, and they can go fucking wreak havoc among the Russian soldiers all day long with it. So that's what he needs. That's what he wants. That's what he's asking for. Again, a reporter is asking what side Trump is on. Whose side is he on? Ukraine's or Russia? There has to be a side. I'm sorry, you cannot take the middle of the fence here on this one. Zelenskyy, again, another example that J.D. Vance probably seen, and a lot of people are probably picking on as Zelenskyy being the aggressor here and showing disdain or irritation with Donald Trump. But his answer is fucking irritating. It's irritating.
I asked this question that you didn't like because I wanted to know if you want to position yourself in the middle between Russia and Ukraine, or on the Ukraine side.
No, I'm in the middle. I want to solve this thing. I'm for both. I want to get it solved. And it's wonderful to speak badly about somebody else, but I want to get it solved. If we can solve it, great. If we can't solve it, they're going to have to fight it out, and who knows what's going to happen. But I want to see it get solved.
An example, once again, of Trump defending his position that we should have never been in this war to begin with, or Ukraine should have never been in this war, to begin with, if he were president. That it's old dumb Biden. Old Biden bad. Biden bad did it. I know you guys think Biden bad, that's fine. But the idea here, though, to point out is one person attacking another person and another person sitting there listening to it and feeling just probably uncomfortable. Just like, this isn't what I'm here for. I'm not here to attack other presidencies. We're not talking politics here. We are not bringing up who we used to be presidents with and had to go and talk to. He was a president during Biden's presidency, so they had to talk, they had to meet. But he's not very comfortable with the way Trump talks. And that's just showing the signs of not the aggressor.
Okay, the United States, run by a man that didn't know much, I'm going to be very nice, run by an incompetent person, very incompetent person, should never have allowed this to happen. I've stopped.
It's subtle. You gotta look. It's subtle, but it's very much noticeable when you look. And he is uncomfortable. I mean, I don't think he'd be comfortable with Trump sitting there bad-mouthing anybody, because I don't think Zelensky's a bad guy. He is somebody there that needs help. His country is in distress. It is being attacked by a murderous fucking dictator called Vladimir Putin, and it needs to be stopped. He needs to leave all of Ukraine, and Zelensky just wants Trump to understand that, and he feels very uncomfortable that he does not. Oh, and continuing on, listen to this answer. I said I wasn't going to make fun of Trump, and I'm not. But seriously, this answer, this response is just ridiculous.
Wars. I've stopped many wars. My people will tell you, I stopped wars that nobody ever heard about. I stopped wars before they ever started.
Just understand, I'm not making fun of your guy. I'm just saying that's not true. And it's not something that you should be beholden to when he speaks. Don't trust what he says. Go trust the facts. I mean, what wars did he stop? What wars were happening during his presidency that he stopped? How many wars were going on during his presidency that we were even a part of, or you even know about, that were just stopped? And if there were some random wars between two other countries that we don't know about, I'm gonna bet you that there is not any hand in it from Trump.
Look at some of, I could give you a lot of nations that would tell you right now they were probably going to war. I could tell you right now there's a nation thinking about going to war on something that nobody in this room has ever heard about. Two smaller nations, but big, still big. And I think I've stopped it. But this should have never happened.
Mr. President. Sorry, just a second.
Let him get his answer in.
About any negotiations. First of all, I want really to tell you, and I think that everybody understands that Ukraine, more than Ukrainians, nobody wants to stop this war. But at the future, any negotiations, it's understandable that two sides of the war, not Russia and the United States, because this is not the war between Russia and the United States. This is war of Russia against Ukraine and Ukrainian people. So these two sides
against Ukraine
will be at the will be at the negotiation table. Then of course United States, like the strongest partner of the Ukraine, and of course Europe. I think Europe is very important. I want to speak about it with the president. Yes, Europe is very important for us.
Right. It is not a war of facts on social media. It is a war of people dying every day. And our president doesn't quite understand the severity, as we'll see in future clips. Back on the topic of Zelensky not being the aggressor, he is simply answering a question and speaking on if Putin is allowed to do what he's doing, he will probably take over more Baltic states, and we will be forced into combat with Russian soldiers, and then just gets blatantly interrupted and is very nice about it, is the point.
Your American soldiers, it doesn't matter, do you have ocean or not, your soldiers will fight.
Mr. President, would you be willing to visit Ukraine, maybe Kyiv or Odessa, which is known to be a dirty area with Black Sea?
It was my question.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to talk about Odessa now. Let's not talk about.
And then now watch
Odessa.
this.
I want to talk.
So interrupted, gets asked, was answering a question and is interrupted. Oh, interrupted by a cat. Is interrupted and asked, and Trump is asked a question about Ukraine and about security guarantees there. I got a kitty cat causing problems. So yeah, interrupted, and then Trump's asked a question and then answers it. Let's watch.
Talk about making a deal, getting peace. We don't have to talk about Odessa, but a lot of cities have been destroyed. A lot of cities that are not recognizable. There's not a building standing.
No.
And a lot of
things. Mr. President, you have to come and to look. No. We have very good cities. Yes, a lot of things have been destroyed, but mostly cities alive, and people work, and children go to school. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes.
And we'll see here. I have a little sum. Boop. This right here is a live feed of Ukraine. This is what's happening. This is from Ukraine right now. Kiev, Dnipro, Kharkiv. It is just like here. It is a country just like ours. It is really no different. There are people just living their fucking lives. Buses, cars, streetlights, buildings, roads, pavement, paver bricks on the sidewalks. I mean, come on. This is what we don't want to fight for. This is what Trump wants to extort resources from after they've been blown up.
Closer to front line, children have to go to underground schools or online, but we live. Ukraine is fighting and Ukraine lives. This is very important. And maybe it's Putin is sharing this information that he destroyed us.
100%.
He lost 700,000 people.
He lost a lot of people, and he is spreading tons of misinformation that Trump is eating up. Your guy is eating it up, MAGA. I'm telling you what. He's eating up the lies. I would love to see MAGA under a president like George Bush. Would you guys be taking the sides of the other countries? Like I would, or under any other president during a war? Would you be taking a side of Germany during World War II? North Korea during the Korean War? Vietnam during the Vietnam War? If our president was, would you be saying, hey, fuck that dude? No, thank you. Not us. Not the United States. I really think you would be getting the president to stop. We need to do that with this one. This next question asks President Trump the most important question, I think, that has not been asked. I have not seen it discussed on much media. I haven't seen it brought up in the news anywhere that I can see, social media posts. What's with the resources in the East? That's where most of the important resources are in Ukraine. If you go look at where their natural resources are located, most of it is located in the areas that Russia controls. So who is going to protect that? Is that going to us? Is that going to stay with Russia? Is Russia going to give that to us if Russia gets to keep it? What is the deal? That's the deal that he's making. Is that the actual deal? Like, we need to know that. Is the deal supposed to be that Russia leaves all of Ukraine, gives all the land back, that way we can get those resources? Or is the deal that Putin gets to stay there and he gets to give us the resources that he now controls? Who's going to defend that stuff when it happens? Because it's implied that we're going to get it. Ukraine's going to give it to us. That means Russia has to give the land back, right?
It went well. I think we're going to have a deal.
On the minerals deal, Mr. President, some of those minerals are in the east of Ukraine, not far from the front lines and in areas that Russia has occupied. Will you direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas? If you're
Very direct question.
Well, we'll take a look at the time. We have a lot of area. It's a very big area we're talking about. So we'll take a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
And who would protect those minerals if they are U.S. interests? Would that be Ukrainian forces?
They'll be protected.
European
The agreement
forces?
will protect them.
US
The
forces?
agreement, yeah.
And do you see the raised eyebrows on Zelenskyy? It's the agreement will not protect those resources. Unless you tell us that you have declared Putin the attacker, the aggressor, and the person that needs to tell his troops to leave and stop the war. If that's part of the deal, then yes, the deal will protect the resources, but that's not what we're hearing. We are hearing just the fact that Ukraine wants to give us stuff Putin's supposed to leave. That's not guaranteed.
Yeah, we're signing an agreement. You know?
Right, but what if Russia tries to invade or there's Russian aggression in those spots?
I just told you, I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal.
Some people may wonder why.
You know, they ought to focus on CNN, on survival.
Man, if I thought I could shit gold, I'd be drinking laxative nonstop, right? That's how that works.
Not asking me these ridiculous questions. Focus on surviving, because CNN's got...
Once again, I'm pretty sure that is, who is it? OAN. I forgot his name already because he's not that important. Who is it? What is his name? Brian Glenn. That's Brian Glenn yucking it up in the background as Trump makes fun of his ratings, of CNN's ratings, while OAN is sitting at like a massive like 14,000. They declare like 68 million, something like that. Okay. Yuck it up. Here's the question that started it all. Here we go. This is the question that sparked the argument, that sparked the JD Vance getting all antsy in his pantsy, getting all hurt because his big president daddy is getting the side eye from Zelenskyy, so he's got to run in and protect him. Here he comes. So here's the question first, and mind you, Trump is still making fun of CNN and their ratings. Mr. Not Aggressive.
Focus on surviving, because CNN's got such low ratings. I don't think they're going to survive. Let's go. Please, go.
And then talks over another woman talking and gives the question to somebody else for like the 50th time. Sorry, can't help but point that out.
I already mentioned Poland. Poland was under Russian control for decades after the Second World War. When I was a kid, I looked at the United States not only as a most powerful country, richest country in the world, the country that has great music, great movies, great muscle cars, but also as a force for good. And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America, and for the good of the world. I'm aligned with the world.
That's not a bad answer. I would say if that's what he said for the most part, and said, I'm aligned with the world and I'm aligned with the United States. I'm not aligned with any other country, but helping the ones out that need help, then that'd be a great answer. He was almost there. You almost had it, buddy.
This thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
And here it comes. So yeah, he's aligned with nobody. He's aligned with everybody. He's aligned with this, with that. He doesn't know what he's aligned with. He's aligned with money. I know you don't want to hear that if you're watching this from the right side. But he's not aligned with protecting Ukraine. And that's the fear. I don't know. Maybe if Ukraine offered enough, that would be enough for him to put troops in the ground and kick Russia out. Or to declare Russia needs to move out because we're going to get the resources that Ukraine is going to give us, and if he's not gone, that we're going to be there. But I don't think he's going to say that. So he's aligned with only himself. That's what comes up next. Here comes JD Vance, all hot and heavy, ready to go, coming in to protect Daddy Trump, and then we'll let the whole argument play out. I won't interrupt, and then we can talk about it after.
Hey, I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden, of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2014.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was,
he killed,
I was not here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly
but,
right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact.
Sorry, I do have to interrupt. It was 100% an invasion. J.D. Vance made a couple of good points about diplomacy. I get it. Biden did a lot of beating of the chest and didn't do anything to force Putin to stop. I will admit that, but giving Putin what he wants is also not the option.
Line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him.
And no one stopped
him. A lot
him.
of conversations, my bilateral conversation. And we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American
disgusting
media.
bullshit.
Right now, you guys are going around and
Let me just say, dude, fuck you. Fuck you, J.D. Vance. I'm not on media. I don't have a news channel. I'm just on YouTube, buddy. So I'm going to say, fuck you, buddy. This guy is here trying to get help. And you've been sitting there with your thumb in your ass the whole fucking conversation. And now you want to speak up and try and act all big, dude. Go sit down. Seriously. Go back to Ohio and go sit down.
forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring people, you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President.
Fuck off, buddy.
Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America?
Put your fucking finger down, dude. Go shove it back in your ass like you had it.
And attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country.
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
He's trying to say that we're going to feel the repercussions of Russia invading places. Trump, once again, I'm not going to try to make fun of him. He's not intelligent enough. I'm sorry, guys, to understand what Putin or what Zelenskyy is saying right now. We're not alone here in the world, guys. The United States doesn't exist all by itself. Whether you think that or not, because we have oceans around us, we are very much reliant on what the rest of the world is doing all the time. Your prices, everything you're buying right now, definitely reliant on what the rest of the world is doing. So when there's combat, when there's war, when there's countries being invaded, especially countries that supply the world with fucking supplies, it's not just like some small country that doesn't generate tons of resources for the rest of the world. It's the breadbasket of the fucking of Europe. When that happens, we all feel it. And that's all Zelenskyy is going to say here, and Trump just shits on him over it.
God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
I'm not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you don't.
I'm very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think
You're
you-
gambling with World War III.
what you're
You're
speaking
gambling
about?
with
What you're
World
speaking
War
about?
III. And
You-
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
I'm
That's
with
back
all
to
respect to
you.
your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A lot
entire
Yes.
of
meeting?
times.
No,
We covered
this
that.
entire
Today-
meeting.
Fuck you again. We covered it. He said it during the beginning of the conversation, JD. Dude, you're a fucking idiot.
You said thank
Even
you.
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States
what
of
you're speaking
America
about.
and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not
Yeah.
speaking loudly. Your country's
Can I-
in big
can-
trouble.
can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No,
Can
you've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking.
Yeah,
Your
fuck you,
country
Trump,
is
too.
in big trouble.
Dude, come
I
on.
know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of
we
coming
are
out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone.
Super
And we are
frustrating to watch.
thankful. I
I
said
know.
thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet.
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
We gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment.
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak-
have our
Pushes
military
him.
equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days.
Right.
This is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks.
Right. He's getting pissed because fuck you, Trump. Fuck you, JD Vance. Seriously, guys. You need to be saying it to your president that you voted for. This is not what we do. We're not supporting Putin. We're not supporting Russia invading Ukraine. Like, what the fuck, guys? So see this argument for what it is. It is not Zelensky coming in and aggressing anybody in that room. It was brought on by JD Vance with a stupid idea that he brought up. Derailed the entire conversation. If you watched, it was going great. So it was going great until it got fucking completely derailed by JD Vance and his bullshit. So let's continue finishing watching it.
Weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I
Again,
tell you.
just say thank you.
I said a lot of
except
times
that
thank
there,
you.
You
except-
fucking said it, yo.
American
Except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You
I'm-
don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running low
I know.
on soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
don't, please,
you're running
Mr.
low on
President.
soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then
President.
then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're
I
saying
said-
you don't want a
But I
ceasefire?
said
No,
to you,
I
no
want a
ceasefire.
with
ceasefire
guarantees.
because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what-
That
what
wasn't
this
with me.
means. It
That was with
wasn't
a
with
guy
me.
named Biden
Oh.
who was not a smart person.
This
That
is
was
your,
with,
this
that
is
was with
your
Obama.
president. It was your
He was implying that if you don't agree to Putin getting the fuck out of Ukraine, that a ceasefire is not going to work. Not about the last ceasefire.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make,
Um,
because the attitudes have to change.
what if Russia
Right. So you saw it there. You saw the bullshit. It wasn't anything that had to do with Zelensky starting any of that. He was nothing but humble, nothing but remorseful for the help that was already given, and nothing but in need and thankful during the whole time. Showed some irritation, but only during the points where he realized Trump does not understand the fucking severity of what's going on in Ukraine. So that's it. That's the whole interview, the whole meeting, the whole fucking thing, not misinterpreted by any which way or the other by MSNBC, CNN, or any other independent media. It was just what was said, who fucking started it, and why it happened. Leave your thoughts and comments below.